Hello, I'm Brian Bennett, Senior White House Correspondent for Time Magazine, and I'm very happy to be here with Jared Kushner, Senior Advisor to President Trump, and a very influential member of the White House staff. It's amazing how many very important topics you're touching right now. Middle East peace, the Middle East peace process, sentencing reform and criminal justice reform, and you're also taking on an expanded role in immigration policy. We will get to some of those important policy discussions later on in this, but I want to start off just asking you some important questions from the news, particularly the Mueller report.
Thank you. Brian, I assume at the end we'll have a chance for redactions?
We will. Please, I hope you do not redact anything.
Thank you. But again, it's a meeting that had it never come up and had it never been done, I wouldn't have thought about it again. But now the media spends so much time focusing on it. And quite frankly, the whole thing's just a big distraction for the country. And you look at what Russia did, buying some Facebook ads to try to sow dissent and do it. And it's a terrible thing. But I think the investigations and all of the speculation that's happened for the last 2 years has had a much harsher impact on our democracy than a couple of Facebook ads. I mean, I think they said they spent about $160,000. I spent $160,000 on Facebook every 3 hours during the campaign. So, if you look at the magnitude of what they did and what they accomplished, I think the ensuing investigations have been way more harmful to our country.
I mean, one of the biggest things I think that doesn't sit well with the public is why didn't the campaign, the Trump campaign, openly say, Russia, we don't need your help, we don't want your help, please stop?
First of all, in the campaign, we didn't know that Russia was doing what they were doing. If again, you can look at it Monday morning quarterback and said maybe you should have looked at those times. But I personally think that what happened is all these people thought Trump was going to lose. They all predicted Trump was going to lose. They were wrong. The American electorate in this great democratic system chose the opposite. And then I think that instead of saying, oh wait, we got it wrong, they said, well, maybe it was Russia. And I think now we've spent 2 years going through that nonsense. And the one thing the Mueller report was very conclusive on is there was absolutely no coordination or collusion with the Trump campaign. And everything that the president's been saying, everything that I've been saying for 2 years has now been fully authenticated. Yeah, so we're going to wait till after Ramadan now. We were getting ready at the end of last year, and then obviously they called for Israeli elections. Prime Minister Netanyahu had a great victory, and he's in the middle of forming his coalition. Once that's done, we'll probably be in the middle of Ramadan, so we'll wait till after Ramadan, and then we'll put our plan out. And what I'll say about that is, when my father-in-law asked me to work on this project, the Middle East peace process, I mean, it's about as tough of a problem set as you can get. And so we've taken, I think, an unconventional approach. We've studied, all the different past efforts and how they failed and why they failed. And there's been some tremendous work done by the people who have worked on this before us. So we've tried to do it a little bit differently. Normally they start with a process and then hope that the process leads to a resolution for something they have been able to resolve for a long time. What we've done is the opposite. We've done very extensive research and a lot of talking to a lot of the people. We're not trying to impose our will. I think the document you'll see, which is a very detailed proposal, is something we created by engaging with a lot of people from the region and people who have worked on this in the past. And I hope that it's a very comprehensive vision for what can be if people are willing to make some hard decisions. And so we started with a proposed solution, and then we'll work on a process to try to get there.
Does it include it?
I do believe that the president's position on immigration has been maybe defined by his opponents by what he's against as opposed to what he's for. And what I've done is I've tried to put together a very detailed proposal for him that really goes through the following criteria. The first one is border security. I've spent a lot of time with the Border Patrol professionals, not the politicians, saying, what do we fully need to secure our border? Whether it's physical barrier, whether it's technology at the ports of entry, with the goal being to keep, illegal goods and keep out people who aren't coming in illegally, while also facilitating trade and the flow of legal people as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Make sure you have 100% scanning capability at all of our ports of entry. The second one is a merit-based system. If you look at the proportion of people that come through our legal immigration system based on family connections versus based on economy, and then you compare that to Canada, New Zealand, Australia, we're basically the inverse of them. And I do think that we have a lot of objectives that the president has. One, he wants to protect American wages. Number two, he wants to make sure our border is fully secure. Number three, we want to make sure that our country is welcoming and a place where we're able to attract the best and brightest from all over the world. Number three, we want to maintain our country's humanitarian values. We want to make sure that we're reunifying families, and we want to make sure that we're doing this in a way that allows our country to be competitive long term. So we're putting together a very detailed proposal. We're also working on a guest worker piece, which is important for agriculture and a lot of seasonal work. And my hope is that we can really do something that unifies people around what we're for on immigration. And
when do you think you'll put that out?
I'm going to present it. The president's been involved very much so. The team's been working probably the end of this week. Next week we'll present it again, and then he'll make some changes likely, and then he'll decide what he wants to do with it when he wants to do with it. But what I will